I think everyone knows that social media has a tendency to blow things out of proportions when it comes to about anything. A lot of us read something, roll our eyes, go, yeah, right, and usually it gets debunked shortly later. Well, a month ago, I came across a tweet that instantly piqued my interest. Apparently, Oregon is trying to make hunting, fishing, and trapping illegal, so far as making trapping mice and rats in your own home illegal, all the way to having your own livestock. The government really wants to make you as unself-reliant as possible. This would also kill the entire Oregon farming industry. What the F even? My first time reading this, I thought it was ridiculous. This has to be overblown because this sounds too stupid. The state of Oregon, to put it mildly, is run by some fruity people, but this is pushing it. This has got to be some small-time vegan initiative that may have a few questionable proposals. So I just did a simple Google search for Initiative 28, and I was a little bit shocked to see that this isn't just an overblown nothing burger. It's a downright insidious initiative that's pretty blatant on what it wants to accomplish. So if you're a fellow The West Has Fallen shud looking for a potential it's over scenario, let Wubba Bubba tell you about Initiative Petition 28, aka the Peace Act. One of the worst petitions I've ever seen. Let's first discuss what IP28 is actually trying to achieve, which is made all the easier with their official website. Quote, Initiative Petition 28, IP28, formerly titled People for the Elimination of Animal Cruelty Exemptions, Peace Act, is a proposed ballot initiative filed with the state of Oregon for the November 2026 general election. If enacted, IP28 would extend the legal protections that keep our companion animals safe to animals currently on farms, in research labs, and in the wild, which would then protect those animals from slaughter, hunting, fishing, and experimentation. Animal abuse in Oregon is already defined as the intentional, knowing, and reckless injury of an animal. IP28 doesn't change that definition. It simply changes who is protected under that definition. And according to them in the initiative they're passing, this would be extended to all non-human mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and domestic animals. If a million alarms haven't gone off in your head already, by all means pause the video right now and go get your head checked. The ramifications of this potential ballot measure is overwhelming, and trust me when I say this initiative is literally catastrophic to the state of Oregon. So let me go over the multiple ways this initiative screws up everyday life in the beaver state. The most apparent victim of this initiative is the ranchers and farmers of Oregon. Cows, chickens, goats, sheep, all off limits for harvesting, even if you're just putting it on your own dinner table. Oh no, but don't worry, you can still just raise them. That's about it. This initiative does allow farmers and ranchers to harvest eggs, milk, and similar animal byproducts, but I'm just going to say, I don't trust these vegan schmucks for 1 second to not weaponize how vague their interpretation of animal cruelty is. Side note, I think the people behind this initiative are aware on some level that the compliance rate of this proposed law would be in the single digits if it ever passed. But as long as they see that a couple of farmers or ranchers are made an example of, then it will likely be worth it in their eyes. So if harvesting your own farm animals will land you in prison, it's not that shocking that hunting will be illegal overnight. So in short, no game tags means deleting a revenue source for wildlife conservation, no trophy for your mantle, and worst of all, zero elk jerky. Another byproduct of hunting being illegal overnight in Oregon would be that in the eyes of politicians, there would be no reason to own a generic hunting rifle, and you bet your ass there would be calls to restrict them. It would be kinda hilarious to see fuds lose their mind if they had to hand over their grandpappy's Remington 700 while thinking gun control would never apply to them. With all that in mind, I feel like you're going to hear this one phrase a lot more in the forest of Oregon.
It's coming right for us!
Oh, what about fishing? Is that illegal too? Yep, you can't even catch and release a bluegill. Something you might not know about me is I do enjoy fishing. Idaho is second to none when it comes to throwing out a line, sitting back and relaxing, waiting for a bite, while being surrounded by gorgeous lakes, rivers, and ponds. From the looks of it, Oregon looks like a fantastic place with just as many opportunities for freshwater fishing, on top of having pretty open access to the Pacific Ocean. All of this overnight would be gone forever. But if you think IP28's consequences couldn't be stupid enough, what if I told you you couldn't even do lethal pest control if it isn't a bug? If you have a mice infestation and want to get rid of them en masse before they spread diseases to your pets, animals, or family, too fucking bad. That's you being lazy. I'm not joking either. They actually say that you should be inconvenienced trying to get rid of mice. This is not me saying that there isn't a time and place for using non-lethal measures for certain pests or animals, but have these people even comprehended that some of these pests are invasive? Re-releasing them back into the wild just screws over the rest of the domestic species living there. So if you see a boa constrictor in your backyard, Asian carp flooding our rivers, non-native rats eating your grain, they want you to either A, deal with it, or B, release them somewhere else for them to wreak havoc. Trust me, I've looked at the proposed bill multiple times, and nowhere does it mention invasive species being exempt from lethal pest control. They will probably backtrack on this issue too, but I don't trust these people whatsoever. But as bad as all the other things sounded so far, I think the most destructive part of this initiative is what this would do to the economy of Oregon and neighboring states. IP28 doesn't eliminate the sale of meat or other animal products that require the death of the animal, but since you know it would be illegal to harvest it domestically, meat and other products would have to be shipped in from another state. This would severely weaken the supply chain in Oregon and other states while hiking up the prices at grocery stores, restaurants, fast food joints, and butcher shops. This on top of other industries being negatively affected like sporting goods stores and pest control companies, you're going to see an economic collapse in Oregon. There's a lot more this initiative would affect, and I'm probably out of my depth in some of these. I'll just list a bunch on screen. But I feel like you guys get the picture that this is potentially one of the worst petitions in modern politics, being seriously considered by Oregonians. Despite me laying out a lot of surface level complaints people have of this initiative, it honest to God has a real chance to become a ballot measure this November. This is in part due to Oregon law requiring around 117,000 signatures from registered voters. And as of the making of this video, this initiative has passed 102,000 signatures. So this initiative requires just a little bit over 15,000 signatures from registered voters before July to become an official ballot question this November. Completely embarrassing. My main guess of why this petition has even obtained 100k signatures is because of the name alone. Morons just see "end animal cruelty," don't do any research, and give their glowing endorsement to this awful piece of shit. I think the main thing I'm going to get pushback on making this video is that this is still a nothing burger. The chances of this passing by voters is near zero. Why give this an ounce of our time? I'll tell you why we should confront this, because this is just the beginning. Do you really think that if we defeat this, this is the final level, the last bonsai charge, the fat lady singing, that these bugmen and women would just throw in the towel? In their own words, Oregon is just the beginning. These extremists have their eyes set on the rest of America and will continue rolling the political dice until they trick enough morons to sign petitions they don't fully understand. If these people are allowed to spout their extremist shit without any opposition, yes, you, Texas Pete, will be eating a soy burger, living in a concrete pod, and buying a game console with no games in a decade. Wait, we're already buying consoles with no games. With how anger-inducing this video has been so far, I think it's best to end on a lighter note. While researching this video, it made me wonder if Redditors bought this garbage hook, line, and sinker. So I began browsing Reddit looking for anything IP28, and after a couple of minutes, I accidentally found IP28's official Reddit account. And despite there being very few interactions on their part, the few conversations they did have didn't go over well with Reddit Nation. So let me showcase two of the funnier conversations. First one up is this account's discussion with a Redditor on the issue of farmers putting down animals, which would be illegal in most cases if this initiative passed. So this Redditor asked a very obvious question. So you want a maimed animal to suffer for hours or days instead of being promptly put out of its misery? Their response is pretty terrible. If your dog hurt his leg, would you rather shoot him or get him medical help? The former would currently be illegal, by the way, and yet we passed that law. No one said, so you want an injured dog to suffer for hours or days instead of being put out of their misery? We want to treat all animals the same way we already treat our companions. We already treat many animals this way. We can choose to treat others similarly. Wow, they really missed the point. Are they incapable of understanding that there are dozens of scenarios where you have to personally put down a beloved animal immediately? If you don't know what I mean, here's a hypothetical I pulled out of my ass. You're a farmer who just discovered your guard dog basically has his entrails exposed after fighting off a couple wolves from eating your chickens. What is the more humane thing to do? A. Put him out of his misery. Or B. Drive the dog into town, prolonging its suffering so that the veterinarian can do the exact same thing. I think most would choose option A in this scenario because it's seen as the more humane choice. But according to this quote-unquote animal cruelty initiative, option A would be illegal. As someone who has had their dog die in their arms and dealt with mortally wounded animals suffering grievous pain while they slowly died, your comments are offensively tone-deaf and arrogant. Glad this Redditor put this moron in his place. Here's the last comment thread I found, and it's probably my favorite of the two. This conversation starts off with some random Redditor giving pretty sound advice. Despite my disagreements to some of their positions, it's leagues better than this pointless dead-on-arrival ballot. So how did the IP28 account respond to this pretty tame rebuttal? The women's suffrage movement would disagree. Where the hell did this even come from? I'm a little glad that I'm not the only one who thinks that comparing women's rights to the rights of animals that eat their own feces is a little messed up when I'm in a sexist competition and my opponent is vegan. I'll let you guys ponder what they meant down below because I'm not reading their fucking wall of text. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in, and until next time, this is Wubba Bubba telling you to go grab a fat cheeseburger.